Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm going to do your July the 25th spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I hope you're doing wonderful this morning. Let's go ahead and get into that meditation. It is entitled Practicing Maturity and Grace. Facing uncomfortable situations and taking loving action is a demonstration of maturity and grace. That comes from the Living Clean book, chapter 7, Principles, Practice, and Perspective. Some of us took conflict avoidance to a new level. We didn't just steer clear of confrontations, we adopted a general policy that uncomfortable situations are best avoided. We applied this rule in our personal lives, with our families, at work, and in the fellowship. Given a chance, we avoided any circumstances that might be awkward. We made excuses and skirted around the very experiences that build bonds among humans. Embarrassed by our unease, we dodged the friend who needed comforting, declined invitations to weddings, and switched meeting attendants following an embarrassing outburst. When we resisted showing up for life, our social awkwardness left us feeling incapable of taking the simplest of loving actions. In active addiction, we may have convinced ourselves that we didn't care. Not even a little. Our conduct was certainly consistent with that sentiment. Despite our every intention to remain aloof, we find ourselves learning to care as we begin to recover. A desire to increase our level of engagement with the world may sneak up on us in time, or it might not. Some of us are loners by nature. It's just how we're wired. Finding comfort in solitude can be a beautiful thing. Isolation is a different matter. When we need help but refuse to pick up the phone, we might be in trouble. We learn to identify when enjoying our own company gives way to isolation and to take the actions necessary to stay safe and clean. The steps help us figure out who we are and who we're not. Experience is a great teacher, boosting our confidence in simply being ourselves. Instead of avoiding awkward situations, we walk through them. We enjoy the payoff when we get to the other side. When we reflect on our actions, we can see our growth. We let go of our old ways of feigned indifference and find ways to be ourselves in the world. Our willingness to grow and to be ourselves in the world shows that we are evolving into a more mature version of ourselves. I will reframe my outlook. Let me repeat that. I will reframe my outlook on my own discomfort and take on opportunities to practice maturity and grace. What do you think about that meditation? I like it. It's wordy, but I like it. And I believe that it is appealing to the individual that has some understanding about how things work around Narcotics Anonymous, right? How the fellowship operates around the intention sometimes is not always positive because people are at different stages of recovery and people go through things, right? People go through things sometimes coming up on clean time. They start to get a little bit squirrely. They may be going through a divorce. There may be some conflict within the home group. Sometimes men and women, they find themselves having difficulty with certain members, how they present themselves, or they might have a history together and both of them are still trying to make the same meeting and they struggle with that. And we have a tendency to try to avoid confrontation, a tendency. Not everyone. Some people love confrontation. They love the opportunity to have an outburst. But sometimes after that outburst, they become so ashamed of themselves that they no longer even come to that meeting, right? We know how to avoid situations. We definitely have that part down pat. But what we don't have down pat is the application of spiritual principles like forgiveness, honesty, being able to admit that you're wrong, being able to actually practice a 10th step in your life. We need practice in that. We need practice. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day and I was just saying, man, we have been through it. We have gone through a lot. And we're still here. We're still having conversations with each other, reaching out for each other, checking up on each other, knowing that we've had intense encounters since we both got clean decades ago. We're still here. We're still interacting with each other with intention. You know why? Because we know that even though it feels awkward sometimes, neither of us are going to avoid one another or give one another room to use whatever we're in conflict about as the excuse why we don't come back. Because we know how each other operates. And I said, it's just amazing to actually be able to say, I've had this friend in recovery for decades, 20 years or more. I wish I was like that with everyone. I try to be, but it's not always easy. But the reward of knowing that I have been practicing maturity and grace is a very good confidence builder. It helps my self-esteem when I actually go through a situation instead of running from it. Today, I want you to go through. Today, I want you to, that one situation that keeps disturbing you, I want you, if you haven't already talked to your sponsor, talk to your sponsor first. And then I want you to apply the 10th step on that. I want you to approach the person. I want you to reach out to the person and say, I feel like we need to go have some coffee and talk. Because you and I, we're making the meeting highly uncomfortable needlessly. Let's just go have a conversation and be done with it. No sniper shares anymore. Let's just be mature and use this meditation as your foundation. Use it as a catalyst to jump into that conversation. If it's not high risk, right? If it's high risk, definitely discuss with your sponsor. But if it's not high risk, resolve it. Resolve it with maturity and grace. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to, and I will be talking to you tomorrow. Thanks for listening.